Good morning, everybody. It's Lynn from A Bit of Birdsong. I'm moving on to the next page this morning in the quilt-covered journals that we're sharing in, and I think there are some people following along who are using their own journals as well. So I'm really excited that we're doing this together. I want to share a couple of pictures that have been shared with me of journal pages that have been inspired while we're working together. This first page is called Happy Girl. It was done by Jay. The second page was also done by Jay, and it was done after visiting a quilt show and being inspired. For today's journal spread, I want to do something really simple. It seems like one of the styles that's popular right now is a very simplistic and vintage ledger looking paper. Very botanical, very minimalistic in a way. Aged paper, or even paper that's just cream color and brown ink and botanical images. It just seems like that's really popular right now. So I'm going to do a very quick and very simple page and get my journaling done today, and I think it'll be really pretty. The first thing I'm going to do is distress this page. This ink pad, I think, is just about gone. I have another one that I can use, but let's get all we can out of this one. Seems like they come back to life with just a little bit of water. I think the spread that I did yesterday with the pictures of the women in my family, I woke up this morning feeling like I had dreamed about a house that I've seen before, and I don't know if it's the old house I raised my children in or the house I grew up in. I just felt kind of, maybe sad's not the right word, but there was like a longing there to know that place again. This page is kind of damp. You have to be careful with that because you don't want to tear the paper, and of course it gets weaker when it's wet. So I'm just going to go right around the edges here, and I don't mind if there's some overlap. See, even up on this fabric we're getting some ink, and that's okay. I kind of like that. I think everybody needs to just do what they really like on a page. I always say if I don't like it, it's not done yet. Just have fun. A couple of us were talking by way of messages about the scene in Fried Green Tomatoes when the lady, I guess Tawanda was what that scene is lovingly referred to, Tawanda, and she just rams that car over and over in the parking lot, and she says that she has insurance. So I think the message was that she had reached an age where she was going to do what she wanted to do, within reason, of course. But we were talking about not being afraid to journal with abandon. Seems like when I was younger, I was afraid to cut into fabric. I was afraid to mess up a piece of paper. Maybe I was afraid to fail. But there's something about, you know what? We've got more paper. So let's just have abandon. Sheer abandon is the words we were talking about. And do what we love. And you know what? Wait, let me see if I can find it. For good measure, let's just see what a drop or two of this alcohol ink will do. And we already know it's going to go through to the other side. That's okay. I probably should have looked first to see what was there, but we're not worrying about that. Will any of this come through? But that's pretty. Okay, I like that just part of it is showing. So let's put some, first of all, let me distress this just a tiny bit. I don't want to overdo it. And we will just glue this down. So we're just going to put this down right here. I need to go back and add some more to the edge. You can see where I pulled on that paper too hard. And I want to rip it. That wouldn't be good. So just be careful when the pages are still damp. They'll dry quickly. Another thing I want to put on here is a tiny little bird's nest. I love this. Let me just cut around it so that it's easier to tear it out. So we've got the really pretty blue spots of ink over here, and we're going to have the blue eggs in the nest. And this kind of ties in with something that I wanted to do in one of the spreads, is to make a journal spread using only 3 colors. I know in Stampington sometimes they would have this, I can't, maybe that was the Somerset, the studio one, but they would have with one palette, I think that's what it was called, where just 2 or 3 colors were chosen and the entire series of work was done in that color. So I'm going to put that right here. This is a really simple page, and you can get these images. The public domain has a lot of vintage bird images and even ledger images. And you know, if it's in the public domain, you can just save it and use it. Anything this old is normally okay to use. And a lot of the Etsy shops out there have really pretty images. Oop, my paper's ready. I think that'll do. Let's just spread a little bit more brown to kind of fade it into the rest of the page. I don't want it to look just totally unnatural, like there's just a circle around it. Find my dip pen somewhere on this desk. And let's see how it looks, just to write on the map. And today is April 1st. You kind of have to hold the nib to the paper until the ink starts flowing. It's cold today. I love writing with this. I absolutely love it. Now that this page is done, I don't like that it is so monotonous with all of the writing, but I do love this. I'm going to tone it down a little bit with some gesso. You know what? It might not look that great when we're done. I don't know. This is all about learning and just figuring out what we like and what we don't like. Once gesso is on there, it's going to stay. So, you know, it's better to start out with a little bit instead of putting too much and then wishing you hadn't used it. So let's just go over that. And I'm very messy. That's okay. Get some of those big brush strokes out. But you know what? I have an idea. Just put some bits on the paper. And one of the things we have in our kit is this burlap. And I'm going to use the burlap to build up a layer of gesso underneath that hopefully will have some texture. And yes, this burlap is not going to be the same when I'm done, and it might render it unusable as just a piece of burlap. I can still use it with the gesso in it, which is what I'll do. But let's lift that and see, we have this beautiful area of texture, and I think I'm going to leave it just like that. I really, really like the way this page looks. I like that a lot. I think I've shared before that once you put gesso on a page, you can go back and use distress ink, but in my experience, it doesn't take very well. It looks like it's going to when it's wet, and then when it dries, it just kind of fades in. But we've got this Tim Holtz alcohol ink in espresso, and I'm just wondering what it will look like to put a spot of this on here. And if we can move it around at all. And do we want to move it around, or do we want it to look, you know, just like a naturally occurring spot? Well, I like that. I want to see something else though. Put a drop here and let it run. See how far it will go. I love the shiny look that this has when you put it on another finish. It seems like if you put it straight onto paper, it doesn't have this, but when we did the night sky, I want a little bit more in that area. I just didn't want to have that one spot with this. I kind of wanted it to seem more, you know what? Let me check on something. It's probably already dry, but I remember in school when we used to take straws. Ooh. That's interesting. Look at that. It almost looks like a tree. Could it be a tree? Oh my goodness. We've got to try this out. So what if I put some at the bottom to make the tree trunk? Ooh, don't run this way. Don't run this way. And then started blowing up to make a plant or a forest. I've been thinking of ideas for my bear journal. Let me make a little indentation there so it won't. And maybe this would be really cool for the tree. So let me make another little trough here so the ink doesn't run towards me. I panicked. So what do you think about that? Ooh, I like the way it ran along the edge. So let's do something, some numbers. I pressed too hard on that number stamp and it got the edges of the stamp around it, but we'll see if we can tone those down a little bit. So now you can see the 10 better. Now I'm done. I'm really done. I like that. I think it's just right. And thank you so much for watching. I will see you soon. Bye for now.